Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session. We will be talking about case studies in cooperative extension. Now, what do we mean by case study? Remember, we said we'll talk about case study today. What is a case study? Case study is an extensive study geared towards a thorough understanding of a given social unit. For instance, if you can have a topic like problem and prospect of agricultural extension services in Nigeria, a case study of Kogi State Agricultural Development Program, Lokoja. Now, the social unit may be an individual, a group of individuals, a community, or an institution. For a topical example like the one we just listed above, the social unit is Kogi State Agricultural Development Program, Lokoja. Now, this case study is the process of investigating, collecting, examining, and interpreting ideas or issues. All right? Now, case studies are particularly appropriate for use in cooperative extension. Why? Because they allow the deepening of understanding of ideas, issues, and wants by using specific organizations, specific programs, specific personnel, specific institution as a point from which they learn. That's why it is referred to as a case study. So that organization is the case, that institution is the case, that program is the case that is being studied. Another way it facilitates this is that the investigation, the collecting, the examining and interpreting of ideas is also is what they allow. That's what one of the things that this case study, the use of case study allows. Case studies employ a variety of data gathering techniques, such as the use of questionnaires, observation, interviews, and tests. Okay, now let's look at simple and topical case studies in cooperative extension. The concept of extension as a system is designed to introduce innovation to the rural people. First, let's examine the factors necessary for analyzing the extension innovation system. One, identify the key actors in the extension, cooperative extension innovation system. Two, identify and map the linkages that exist between the actors in the extension system. Three, identify and analyze the technological capabilities of the actors in the cooperative extension innovation system. That is the knowledge required to master new technologies, adapt them, adopt them, improve them, and diffuse them. Okay, now from what we have just said so far, analysis from the foregoing analysis, cooperative extension services provides a fertile ground for case studies on simple and topical issues, such as one of these listed below. Now, number one there is the effect of innovation on rural people. The target is rural people who are trying to see how innovation affects them. Number two, the reception and rejection of new ideas, methods, and practice by cooperators. See, we can easily study this. The activities of stakeholders in cooperative extension services, the viability of cooperative enterprises in a particular area or trader or occupation or economic activities, the rate of diffusion of knowledge in the rural environment. So these are some topical issues that we can easily study. Now let's talk about how to do a case study. How do we carry out a case study? The following are a guide to any case study you may wish to undertake. The first is determine the nature of the problem to study. That is the purpose of your study. You must establish that there is a gap, there's a need, there's a question. What's your research question? What is this question you need to answer? Your research work needs to answer. Once you've identified this problem, you move to the next. The method you will employ, such as which method will you employ, such as am I going to use a questionnaire? Am I going to use an observation method? Am I going to use interviews? Am I going to be doing tests in this study? The next is the unit of interest, which can be an individual, and a group, a community, or an institution. So are you studying a group? Are you studying a cooperative? Are you studying an individual? Are you studying an institution? Then you move to the next. Determine whether the case study is on subject or topical issues. Okay, now we move to the next. You should know where to get the necessary information and how to collect the data about the case, and also what to do with the gathered data, the gathered information, so that it can help to solve problems, because it's not just enough to gather data. That data should be able to help you solve problems. Then the next is to remember that the collection, investigation, and classification, as well as analysis of the information gathered, are the aspect which give this method the name called case study. So that procedure of collecting data, that procedure of investigation, that procedure you go through to classify and analyze the information you've gathered is what gives this particular kind of study that name, which we refer to as case study. So you should understand this. Now, what is the objective or objectives that helps us to determine the type of case study to write? There are different case studies for different objectives. So you will be guided by the following in determining the objective. The first is, what is the objective? That is the purpose of the case study. Once you can answer this question, you see you will have a direction. What are the source of data? Is the primary or secondary source of data, or are you using both for this particular study? So the objectives that help you determine the type of case study to write are these three that we just listed now. Now let's see other objectives or other variables to consider that helps you in determining or considering a case study. These are also key to writing a good case study. One, observe communication rule when you are writing the case study. That is clarity in your communication, the language you use in your communication. Number two, observe your grammar, spelling, and accuracy, as well as cross-checking your figures and data. Number three, identify the readers. If they are rural people, be careful the language you use. Try to be simple. If they are sophisticated and educated people, observe a clear and formal language that will appeal to them. Then number four, limit the topic. Make sure your topic is limited. What do we mean? You can't say the study of let's say the effect of innovation on the whole world. You know you cannot study the whole world. So you have to limit your topic to an environment, to a scope that you can study. So you can say the effect of particular innovation on people in this local government, or people of this community, or on people that use this particular technique of farming. So you see, you've limited your study to a scope that can easily be studied. So limit your topic. The next, which is number five, draw a tentative outline before you start, so that you can follow them step by step. Number six, establish the scope. We mentioned that earlier. Then number seven, formulate a research plan. Write a rough draft of what your research plan is, what you will do first, second, third, and fourth, and even up to 5 or 6. Then edit your draft. Plan your presentation technique. Okay, having said that, let's go straight to the method of collecting data. For every questionnaire, for every case study that you embark on, you must try to collect data. Irrespective of the data method, you must use, irrespective of your research method, you must find a method or observe these methods, any of these methods for data collection. Number one on our list is questionnaire. The questionnaire is a list of questions, sometimes statements, designed to obtain information from people about a specific event or aspect of a behavior. All right? Now, the questionnaire allows researchers to collect required information quickly and cheaply from a large number of people at the same time, which makes it a unique instrument. Now, another method is observation. At least you can observe, walk into an environment and observe. You can use direct observation to gather information. You are to use instruments like checklists and rating scales in order to systemize and qualify such information. The next is interviews. Now, interview has been described as a psychological and sociological measuring instrument. Information elicited through interview can be used in measuring human abilities and dispositions that are not directly observable, maybe by your look or something like that. It is a face-to-face question and answer method. And from that, you can pick things out which are not obvious when you just look at the person. The way they answer, the way they react to questions, and provide some kind of insight. Another method is tests. Tests. A researcher can use tests to gather information on the topic he is researching on. It is the examination of data to get a result. Now, let's talk about reasons for case studies. Reasons for case study. Case study enables learners to examine a particular problem and to solve the problem. It equips the learner with a vital means of acquiring knowledge on his own through active participation so as to solve a problem. You can see solving problem is part of the reasons for case study. So if you're not solving a problem, I doubt if you're carrying out a case study. Number 3, it facilitates assimilation and retention of knowledge. And such knowledge may be discovered by the students themselves in the course of conducting the case study. Number 4, writing case study challenges the writer to find out information by himself. Of course, you understand, you just heard some of the methods of collecting data. And so those methods of collecting data makes the researcher move in the midst of the institution, the individuals that are supposed to present or provide such information. Number 5, writing a case study enables researchers to develop manipulative skills as they have contact with materials and data sources. And number 6, case study enables learners to examine a particular problem and solve the problem. Number 7, it equips the learner with a vital means of acquiring knowledge on his own through active participation as to solve a problem. Number 8, it facilitates assimilation and retention of knowledge discovered by the students themselves in the course of conducting the case study. Okay, today we've talked about a lot. We've talked about case study. We've talked about some topics about extension program and so on. So I'd like you to look into your module and try to answer the in-course questions that you find in your module. That will help you evaluate to the extent to which you've understood what we have talked about today. All right, as we look forward to see you in our next class, stay safe. All right, thank you for listening. I'll see you in my next class. If you have learned from these videos, click the notification button. Please give it a thumbs up so that others can see it or will see it. Always remember to subscribe if you have not done so. Until next time, keep learning.